ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, those who are listening, watching from English language, literature and grammar. Dear friends, yesterday we have gone through the snake and the mirror. In this story, a doctor tells the story of his encounter with a snake. The doctor had just started his practice as a homeopath. He lived in a small rented room. It was full of rats. The room had a gabled roof. One night, the doctor, sitting at his table, he was reading a book. A kerosene lamp was burning on the table. The table had a large mirror on it. Suddenly, something fell down from above. The doctor turned to see what it was. He froze with fear when he was a snake. It was wriggling over the back of a chair. At once the snake coiled itself around the doctor's left arm. The doctor could do nothing but pray to God. The snake turned its head and started looking at its image in the mirror. It uncoiled itself from the doctor's arm and crept onto the table. It moved towards the mirror to have a closer look at its image. The doctor at once got up and ran out of the room. He spent the night at a friend's house. He came back in the morning to move his things, but some thief had taken away everything. The only thing left behind was the doctor's dirty vest. A doctor tells this story to some of his friends. The doctor was a homeopath. The doctor says that he lived in a small rented room. It was not electrified. It was an outer room of the house. The room had a gabled roof. It was made of tiles and supported on a beam over the wall. The rats kept moving all the time above this beam. The room had only two windows. The doctor says that he had just started his medical practice. His earnings were not much. He had only about 60 rupees when he had kept in his suitcase. He had some shirts and dhotis. He had also a single black coat. One summer night he had his meal at a restaurant and came back to his room. It was about 10 o'clock. He took off his black coat and white shirt. He also took off his white vest, but it was not so white. Then he opened the two windows in the room. He made his bed and pulled it close to the wall. He lay down but couldn't sleep because it was too close. He got up and went out to the veranda for a little air. There was no air outside also. So he came back into the room and sat down on the chair. He took out a book and started reading it in the light of the kerosene lamp kept on the table. A large mirror also stood on the table. Beside the mirror there was a small comb also. The doctor picked up the comb and ran it through his hair while he was sitting at the table. The doctor heard a sound from above. He didn't pay any heed to it. He kept looking at himself in the mirror. The doctor says that while looking at his face in the mirror, he made an important decision. He decided that in order to look more handsome, he would shave daily and grow a thin mustache. Again he looked into the mirror and smiled. He thought that it was an attractive smile and decided to keep it always. Again the cane noise was heard from above, but again the doctor paid no heed to it. The doctor says that he got up from the chair and lit a bead. He started pacing up and down the room. A lovely thought came to his mind. He thought that he would marry a woman doctor who had plenty of money and also a good medical practice. With such thoughts, the doctor again took his seat in the chair. There were no more sounds from the above, but suddenly there came a dull sound. It was as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground. He looked around to see what it was. He saw that a fast snake, a fat snake, had landed on his shoulder from the back of the chair. The doctor said that he didn't jump or tremble. He didn't jump or tremble. He didn't cry out. He was terribly afraid, but there was no time to jump or cry. The snake slithered along his shoulder. It coiled around his left arm above the elbow. The snake had spread out its hood. Its head was hardly 3 or 4 inches from the doctor's face. In great fear, the doctor held in breath. He was torn, too strong, but his mind was very active. He saw that there was darkness outside the open door. The doctor felt pain in the left arm. It was as if a rod of fire was crushing his arm. His arm was beginning to lose all strength. But what could he do? He began to think what medicine he would take in case the snake bit him. But there were no medicines in his room. He called himself a foolish doctor. Soon the snake turned its head. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. Perhaps it was admiring its beauty. Perhaps it was thinking of growing a mustache or using eyeshadow to look more beautiful. Perhaps it was thinking of wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead. The doctor says that he didn't know anything for certain. He didn't even know whether the snake was a male or female. But then suddenly the snake uncoiled itself from the doctor's arm. Very slowly it slithered into his lap. From there it crept onto the table and moved towards the mirror. Perhaps the snake wanted to move a closer look at its reflection. The doctor felt as if life had come back to him. Holding his breath, he got up from the chair. He quietly walked out through the door and came into the veranda. Now he ran with all his effort and strength. He kept running till he had reached a friend's house. He smeared oil all over his body and took a bath. Then he changed into fresh clothes. The next morning he took his friend to his room. 1 or 2 others also were with him. The doctor wanted to move his things from there, but he found there was almost nothing to carry. Some thief had removed most of his things. The room had been almost cleaned out. The thief had left behind only one thing. It was the doctor's dirty vest. Dear friends, as you have heard words, sentences of the language, Time and again, when you listen again and again, it makes our learners and listeners competent in speaking English, in reading, writing and listening English well. For the proficiency and sufficiency language, for bringing naturality, spontaneity in language, a scholar or learner must keep his mind in 100% presence of mind that can make him able to speak, read, write and listen well. Dear friends, when a new learner starts learning any language, then he must be the practitioner of yoga, pranayama, meditation that can help him to understand the words, to record the voice of the words. By recording the words and voices, you can improve your listening style, your linguistic manners. So once again, I thank all of you for your presence today. It is nice time, nice place, nice action that we are admiring the words, we are appreciating sentences of the language, that you can think before speaking. When you imagine, when you frame ideas and thoughts in your mind with having words in his mind, then definitely these words helps us in creating different type of sentences while listening, speaking, reading, writing well in English. So I once again thank all of you, the most honorable President Professor Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, reverend fathers and mothers, affectionate sons and daughters. I, Dr. Rakesh from USA, cordially welcome all of you. Thank you. Nice to see all of you. Nice to listen you. May God bless all of us. Thank you.